We are 6 minutes behind, but I believe we can make up for that. So welcome to the Southern Marin Community Response Team Zone Meeting number 48. All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Marin Reynolds. I'm the founder and executive director of the Marin County Cooperation Team, or MCCT. I'm here today to talk about our Southern Marin Community Response Teams. The Southern Marin Community Response Team was actually formed during the pandemic to address the needs in marginalized communities, such as food outreach, COVID testing, helping people in domestic violence situations, and a plethora of other things. We got the CRT updates, strategic planning for the next year, all right? And we're gonna have, conclusion, probably run through a few things. But before we get started, do we have any new individuals in the building? Not really in the building, but on the Zoom, See, I ain't it. I had your $20,000 waiting here for you. You not in the building. See, you done missed it. I don't want to hear nothing now. All right, looks like we got everybody's new here, family at the cookout. So, with that being said, can we please share any updates, community work events, big wins? Did somebody have horrible potato salad over Thanksgiving? The floor is open.
I have an update.
Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Manny with the Office of Equity. I'll kick us off. Hope everyone had a good holiday break, Thanksgiving. So just wanted to speak a little bit about participatory budgeting. So we are pretty much at the halfway mark. The voting process is open until December the 29th. We've had fantastic representation from Marin City and the Canal. Hoping to see more participation, of course. So basically what participatory budgeting is it gives the budget decisions on how funding is going to get spent. Communities decide how to spend those funds. So there's 2.5 million that'll be distributed. There's 24 projects that communities can vote on. And grants will be ranging anywhere from 10,000 to 250,000. Who can vote? Anyone in the community who's 14 years or older, regardless of immigration status, who lives, works, owns a business, or goes to school in Marin County can participate. So, just wanted to basically uplift the fantastic turnout that we're getting from Marin City and the Canal, and just a reminder to help assist us in spreading the word. Please share on your social media so that we can finish strong this second half.
All right, thank you. All right, Lakeisha.
Yes, thank you. So this is a personal update, but it has ties to Marin. So my son, Troy, he's a senior at McClymonds High School, and his football team won their championship. And so they're coming to Marin Catholic on Saturday at 1 o'clock, yes, for regionals. So if anyone is available, come out and see Troy Hill, number 14. Tight end, wide receiver, DN, do his thing.
All right, nephew. So if you're not doing nothing,
Troy Hill, we'll be looking for him. ISO Chuck.
Okay, ISO Chuck. All right.
It's gonna be a fun game, y'all.
All right, please come out. All right, any other announcements?
I have something.
Oh.
We do have the last week of Kerner clinics, the vaccine clinics at the Kerner campus, starting today. Today it will be held at the Kerner site. Today it will be for uninsured and underinsured individuals, and then tomorrow and Thursday, it will be held by Safeway. So those will be for anyone over the age of 19 with Medi-Cal.
Thank you. Uh-oh.
Why does this keep happening? How not?
Y'all still there?
There we go.
All right, it went dark.
Tricked ya.
All right, Paul, I know you got an announcement. Adriana, I know you have an announcement.
Mary Lisa not on that.
Mary Lisa.
Text me saying she's coming. I don't think she's here yet.
What's my announcement?
I don't know, but you'll sneak one in on us.
I don't know. I don't have one. I'll keep thinking.
Okay, all right.
Tuesday. So everybody spread the word about Giving Tuesday.
See, told you. All right, Giving Tuesday. All right, please support Play Marin. They are doing fantastic work, not just in Marin City, but around Marin County. It is a wonderful organization. So if you can, no donation is a small any donation is a good donation. So thank you. Miss Green, do you have an announcement? Yes, I'm looking at you. Yeah. All right. Miss Green has arrived. All right. Get free COVID test kits directly to your home beginning November 20th. Every U.S. household can again place an order to receive 4 more free COVID-19 rapid tests delivered directly to your home. Please use the link. It's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. All right.
One quick thing, Jamir.
Yes.
The show that we're taping, our CRT updates, airs on Fridays at 8:30 a.m., Thursdays 7 p.m. So it airs twice a week. So everyone,
Did y'all hear that?
whoops, sorry.
See? Look. How the cameraman not being professional? Huh? Nah, brother. Introduce yourself.
Hi, y'all. It's Curtis Akins, and I'm blocking the camera. So our show, CRT Update, will air Thursdays and Fridays, 8:30 a.m. and, what did I say, 7 o'clock p.m. on Channel 26, Marin Community Television. Thank you.
All right. Before we move on, last but not least, I swear, Shannon Bynum is always cold, and he's sitting here with a jacket with fur around the collar. Make it make sense.
Get some iron in that blood.
All right. All right. Who we got up next? All right. Okay. All right. Moving on. Do we have any announcements?
I mean, I think we have lots of announcements, but.
Oh, well, hold on. Mira about to tell you all the announcements.
I think maybe I wanted to lift the end of our CBI program.
Oh, yes.
That I think is best spoken to by John Marin Curtis.
Well, give it back then. Give it back.
That Alexis, our caterer over here, is a part of, which is very exciting.
All right, folks. So we launched a culinary business incubator for food entrepreneurs living in Marin City specifically. We had 7 great individuals. From my vantage point, just speaking with them, we had a final dinner that was held at Spinnaker's. Just them talking about establishing a legal structure, thinking about marketing, how to rebrand themselves in their social media, making them more aware, just giving them more courage to step out. Just overall, I am pleasantly pleased with the turnout. For a lot of our folks, it was a new space for them to come into, and they were vulnerable enough, to ask for help. One of the CBI participants, Miss Alexis Hayes of Foley's Viso Cafe, has just been shooting to the moon. A bunch of our other incubator participants have just been skyrocketing, coming up with just different interactions, different contracts, because we believe by lifting those individuals up, it can help the black dollar recirculate in Marin City instead of in black communities, the dollar only really circulates one time. And so we're literally changing the economic trajectory of Marin City just through these opportunities. Do I have any other announcements?
I'll make that.
Okay, all right.
I'll make one that I guess we do.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I'm gonna make two more announcements. Just wanted to thank Phil and Manny, everyone at the County of Equity for the participatory budgeting event at Phillips Drive campus right before, the Thanksgiving holiday. It was a really great event to see all the community out and great to meet folks and talk more about all of the Marin City projects. Thank you to Maya, who's on the call, who tabled with me. Appreciate you. And then I wanted to shout out Ian Ashby, who's on the call, who is our Safety Net Services Director, who recently housed two of our Safety Net Services clients, which is a very big deal if you know the housing system in Marin County. So just wanted to celebrate those big wins. And yeah, that's it.
All right.
Anyone else? Before we move on to CRT updates.
All right.
Okay, so real quick, because the focus today really is on strategic planning. So just a reminder, our meeting structure moving forward, we're gonna rotate between meetings that focus on like our current work versus strategic planning. So this meeting is more strategic planning focused, but did just wanna make some quick updates about our current work. So big wins that we want to celebrate, the vaccine clinic at South Sudan Marin City School District, which was also like about a week and a half ago, gave 44 doses of the vaccine, which is great. St. Andrews 31. So thank you all for your work getting the word out to the community, encouraging folks to get to these wonderful resources. Lakeisha and I have a meeting with the county, and we are very close to finalizing the logistics for the Kaiser and Safeway combined vaccine clinic. We did secure a date for December 19th. This is a Tuesday at St. Andrews from 3 to 7. So thank you to Pastor Floyd, who will be here in a minute, for always offering his space. And we'll provide flyers and details once we finalize things, which should be on Wednesday. And then, as always, just let us know if you need Narcan or COVID tests. And then outreach day is this Thursday, so paid partners, please stop by. We're going to have flyers printed for you. And then also, always the COVID test, Narcan, masks, etc. that folks might need. Any thoughts or questions about that before we move on? Let me record before I forget. Okay.
Recording in progress.
There we go. All right, Lakeisha.
Yes, and Shannon.
And Shannon.
Yes, because Shannon will be able to speak to this a little bit more than me, but good morning, everybody. So we've launched our STI testing pilot. However, we've been finding it challenging to engage folks around getting the actual tests complete. So we flyered, we've opened our doors for drop-in office hours, and we haven't had any success yet. And so we were wondering if there's anyone out there that has any ideas or strategies that could support us in navigating that challenge and getting folks tested. And I don't know if Shannon wants to add anything to that, but Shannon is on boots on the ground, of course. Also PJ, who have been, having conversations with folks. Also Melbourne, Tijuana, also flyering, and so we're in need of strategies.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Ayin.
This is Ayin. Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering, and it might be really green or not very clear, what I'm going to try to ask is that might we be able to give people an opportunity to have a little more anonymity? Because I know in the community, it's a very, very close-knit community, and there's not a lot of trust surrounding health information or personal information for that matter. And it's not that anything has happened recently or even with our organization, it's just like historically. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if there might be a way for people to get it into their homes. Maybe if they show interest, but they don't want to do it there, maybe someone could, go to their home, knock on the door, pick up the test, drop off the test. I don't know. It's just a suggestion, like you asked.
Mm-hmm. Shannon said he's going to do that, and that is conversations that we've been having with Canal Alliance and also with the county. And so we can definitely get the test to the person They can take the test in their home. We can come back and pick it up. But leading up to that, how do we get folks who don't trust to allow us to have even conversations around such a sensitive topic?
Yeah, so for me, just some clarity. What is it that, are you asking people to test? Are you giving educational information on what a STI is?
So both. So we have fact sheets that we are disseminating, but the end goal is really to test specifically for HIV because these are HIV dollars. And so we're also testing for diabetes and HCV. So the promotion, and we wanted to lead with initially with the diabetes, right? So folks say, okay, well, let's talk about diabetes, let's give this information, and then let's test. But we also have to couple the STI test with the diabetes because of the HIV dollars.
So in the spirit of what she was just talking about, in terms of anonymity, how do you test someone? Where are you testing them? Because in that perspective, people would want some kind of privacy. Where are you guys testing?
Right. So we were holding office hours here in these rooms here. So it's a self-administered test. So they would register online, and then they would come to a private room and poke their finger.
You guys are asking people to come over here.
Yes, we have done that.
Like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you suggest we ask people to come?
A neutral location, maybe down at 105 Drake.
So right there in the 100 line.
Yeah, maybe I would be talking to Golden Gate Villages. How do we get into 105 Drake? But I don't know. For me, I think a part of it is going to where the population of individuals may be. For instance, the high school campuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe start there. The college campuses. A lot of people do think that an STI it's a stigma. Oh my gosh, no. If you have one, you want to be treated. You want to know what it is, and you want to be treated.
Jamir?
Go ahead, Phil.
No, for sure. That was going to be my suggestion too, like taking it straight to maybe like high schools, middle schools, because that's where, for lack of a better word, like promiscuity starts, especially uneducated promiscuity, we just kind of out there. Sexual activity starts. So, but then my question became if it's only for HIV, because that's not really the one that's transmitting so much amongst like high school and college kids. It's more like,
The same. So that was one of
everything.
So
age too.
There is an age, so 19 and up we're testing, but the county is wanting to gear it to same-sex individuals, same-sex male interactions.
And also, this is focused in Marin City specifically.
Yes,
I was
Pastor.
going to say too, the delivery.
As Jameer and I know that's a particularly difficult population to get to in River City. However, I do think in terms of trust, you've got to find out who they already trust. You can't bring new people in there to have that conversation. That's just a literature, right? So the question isn't, can I get into their homes? It's who is already there. And can I then pay them to add this to the conversation? And so that's the question, I think, especially if you're going to veer it to same gender loving people, then I think you probably, that's the conversation to have. Who do they already trust? Where are they already there? I do have a couple of folks who might be able to help you because what we found out is there are things like house parties going on, underground, whatever. That's not something that only someone in that community is going to tell you who those people are, right? But then if you're going, you can't then go, well, you guys help me get there to talk to them about this, because that's not going to happen, right? I got to figure out, can I get you guys to talk to them about this? And then maybe to have the testing at those parties, at those places. So I'm thinking two people I could give you a name of who've been helpful to me going, I didn't know that happened. It's like, right below the surface, because obviously this is a hidden, especially in the black community, still a hidden community. And so stuff is happening that you can't know about unless you know somebody from that community. So there's a couple of guys I'm thinking of that I maybe can give you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So adding to that, these are great ideas, but let's just be real. Same-sex relationship conversations in the black community are really not happening. So we can come up with these great ideas and have all these strategies, but we still don't even want to talk about it. And for me, my oldest daughter was scared to tell me because of what she heard from around the community. And when we had the conversation, I shocked her. I said, well, I want to meet her. Let's go to dinner. We have to find a way to connect the younger generation with the older generation by having a conversation. Because popping up with great ideas and not taking into account to our culture, social media, the music we listen to, how my mother and grandmother was raised, we have to find a common ground in order to go to where we need to go. So even showing up to the high schools, we go to the student wellness ambassador programs and everything is, it's open and, gender equality and recognition. But the kids are like, I can't go home and say this, right? I can't talk to my dad about this. So how we can use the Students Wellness Ambassador program to start, but we need to start having, to be honest, community conversations. This is not just the world that we live in. This thing has been here. It's been here. People, you love who you love, but our culture prevents us from having that conversation. So we need to really start there. Pastor Floyd can connect you to some folks. But who do we need to get in? We need to get these young people in the room because they need a safe space to land.
Not everybody's comfortable in their own space.
Right.
Right.
So if you guys are focused in Marin City, I mean, Shannon knows the pockets of where, in my opinion, to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have that conversation on a Friday, late afternoon, evening,
Mm-hmm.
where all those 20-something-year-olds are gathered doing whatever, gambling, whatever it is that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, weave the conversation in.
Mm-hmm.
Or you gonna be
Right.
where those older men are,
Mm-hmm.
hanging out in the morning at 11 and just say, listen, here's some information.
Mm-hmm.
No one has to say that that's me, that's my life.
Right.
If you're passing along the information.
Right.
Like I said, you got to figure out how. The other thing that we've heard informally, which also may be an interesting, I don't know if this would be interesting or not, at least in Marin City, where we've been able to uncover it, it actually is that community is defined as lesbian more than gay males.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of young people, what I hear from that is young girls are really are the ones who are, unfortunately, mental health wise, really going through because of just the particular pressures that their families are putting on them. Apparently the guys can get outside the community a lot easier and experiment and whatever, but people are watching their daughters in a different way and girls in a different way, so there's a little bit different. So those nuances, I think, is really what the conversation is about, and then STIs, right? Can I ask you a question? How did the county decide that Marin City was it? In other words, I'm trying to figure out whether there was an empirical data to say, oh, it's spiking, or this is what we need to do, because that's a different, way of going at it.
So national numbers and having the lowest healthy living index in the county is all pointing towards, well, even around the country, towards African American, especially with newly diagnosed HIV and AIDS cases. Not saying that Marin City is a hotbed, but to be focused on African Americans, again, the over 50 age in the African American community accounts for 40% of the new AIDS cases.
Yeah, and so that's what the other thing is, when I heard you talk about go to high schools, it ain't the kids, right? The other thing is, I think you need to talk to the seniors. And that's the other conversation that has to happen, because I think there are some people in our community, in the Marin community, that you can talk to about this, but they never get approached about this conversation. I don't know if anybody ever talked to Florence about this. You know what I'm saying? Be honest with you, right? And I think it's really important to have that conversation, and then Florence to tell you how she would do it, rather than you kind of. It ain't educating Florence. It's saying how didn't you get into the senior community as such? Because I was angling at that, going, I don't know how they got to the high school students, but really, that's not the issue. It's the down low adults that we're dealing with, and the older adults who are being problematic. I think it's a mental health issue with the kids, but I think it's a health issue with the adults.
Okay.
It's prevention, right?
Yes. Right. Yes. All right. Anybody else?
There's no one on the.
Somebody just said something about dating apps.
Oh yeah, dating apps. Patty.
Oh, good Lord.
I deleted my profile 13 years ago.
It's the number one thing with my college ministry. Oh, God, I don't. Sorry. I just spent too much time watching group mess themselves up over that. God bless you.
I'll just read the question that Patty put in the chat, so maybe someone can respond to that. I went away. So I know nothing about dating apps, but is there a way to promote in a targeted way on a dating app?
Well, they already have those. I mean, there's already HIV stuff that goes through the dating apps. So, only because I work with college populations. There are those apps, especially Grindr and I forgot the other one, the big ones, right? They already do a fairly good amount of advertising on those apps about that. It don't seem to make a difference, right? But they do have that, so you would be replicating already what's already done if you do that.
Ian's got a good idea too.
Ian?
It's right there. Lawn signs.
Oh, that's a great idea, man.
Materials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
man.
want to speak to that, Ian?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, over like graduation time and election time, I noticed those like low, maybe about a foot high, 2 feet high, those signs, and I pay attention to them. So I'm wondering if maybe we could like put them throughout the community, or even at COM with the permission of College Marin, or even at TAM, Red Lake, Drake. So maybe just some signage.
Yeah.
Also, to answer Ida's question about why here, we chose this particular place because we know if we see someone going to a van or we see someone going to a particular place, we're speculating, right? And that's how rumors start. And, if we had somewhere in Marin City that could provide that type of privacy, like I said, we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms away from it all. So whatever you come here, it's like, well, where you going? I'm about to go to Sausalito. I'll be back, right? And so if we can find a way to increase privacy, like you said, what Ian said, just that stigma already existing, and they, oh, what y'all doing in there? Oh, we're testing for this, and this. And then I walk in, I maybe only want to have a diabetes test. And then I come out, okay. And then it's like, well, such and such, let's just be real, because that does happen in the community. Well, such and such went in there and got tested. What they in there testing for? Oh, HIV, syphilis, chlamydia, and diabetes.
You ain't gonna leave with
Right, exactly. right. It's not, and it's that, and with Marin City having the lowest healthy living index attributed to hypertension, diabetes, and things like that, they're not going to lead with the foundational thing. So it's us putting our heads together, like, how can we help individuals through, these ideas be comfortable enough to come get tested? Because we got young people literally just dropping dead. Weak hearts, high blood sugar, stroking, then you got this cough, you losing weight. You got the flu out of nowhere. You can't figure out. You got lesions on your body and everything else. You think, oh, right? I'm just getting old, or this thing runs in my family, when really it's something else that is going on. I would rather be preventative than trying to intervene.
Just a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Just a technical thing. Remember that 60% to 70% of our community use the food banks throughout, right? So as much as you can utilize that space,
Right.
and they're already there, and there are usually a lot of people going in that space, you might want to think about, can you do testing sites at each food bank someplace? You know what I'm saying? Because we forget in Marin City, it's the largest utilization of any service whatsoever, and they're at different sites, different days of the week, and there already a population is there. We know now if I want to get anything to the Muslim population, I have to go through the food pantry because that's the only way the women are that they're having the freedom in that space, right? Things like that. So food pantries, I think, have a pretty good thing, and at least I think I know most people who are running a food pantry. They'd be open to giving you some space, especially if it's self-testing.
Right.
I don't quite know what you mean by all that. I'll be honest with you, because I'm still thinking, you gonna let folks test them? So okay, you go ahead and try that. Okay. But I think you can do that, and they're already there. And like I said, if you're asking them to come over here, it just is a barrier. Where if they're already going to pick up food or
It could be under the cloak of the food bank.
yeah.
So
Okay.
So let me ask you this, Pastor. Do you suggest that we set the table up to do the testing there, or to give the information?
Well, you can do information, but you can also, just like you do here, set up a room for people to do
And like direct them covertly. Be like, oh, if you're interested, go here.
Just go to the room, and this is where it's at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to actually. At this point, and your point is that you got to give people a chance where they already are going to do this, and ain't nobody gonna question.
You at the food bank.
Right, the food bank, right, because all of us do it. Class-wise in Marin City, all of us at some point.
Okay.
And even if we pretend not to do it, we just happen to come by and get a bag and say they gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? We were hoping they did. It's already kind of that folk know how to negotiate that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Okay. All right.
And we'll circulate our flyer too. If you all would promote it in the community, that'd be great.
Because each of our sites have that, and if you go to people and just say, hey, can you give us a room, whatever, so that when you're talking to people, you can say, hey, that room is there.
Right.
Again, I don't quite know what you mean by self-testing, but however that works out, we can devise it.
It's a finger poke, Pastor.
And then you put it in the mail.
Yeah. So you're basically telling people to go into the room, poke their fingers, and then leave the test there?
Yep, and then
That's
we
the drawing.
deliver it to the post office.
Aha, that's clear now.
Yeah.
Self-testing sounds like, I can't give folks this self-do nothing. Well,
I think the message needs to be more responsibility.
Right.
There is stigma.
Yeah.
Because literally, if you are affected by a sexually transmitted infection, you want to be.
Yeah.
Right.
And it also needs to be a partner message, right? In all things sexual, it is the women who get the men to do it, not the men that take responsibility.
Right.
That's just the reality, right?
Right.
Yeah, you never know what your guy's doing, at least don't get this from him. We gotta put it in different terms.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for this awesome conversation and all of your great contributions. We do have to move on to our strategic planning portion, and I'll let Lakeisha start this slide.
Thank you so much. So we did do some wordsmithing to the original problem statement and goal. And so when we leave here today, we want to have made a commitment to a problem statement into a goal so that we are moving this train along. So what we've come up with for the problem statement is access to health care and related services provided by Health and Human Services is hindered by systemic and personal barriers. And our updated goal is to improve access to healthcare and related services offered by Health and Human Services by systematically identifying and addressing both personal and systemic barriers. Oh, we got some head nods.
Yes.
Let's take a vote. Let's take a vote. So if you in the chat, please put your thumbs up or say yes in the chat if you agree to this problem statement and goal.
Thank you, Paul. Lucy, Aine.
Okay, we got thumbs up, thumbs up. Everybody here in the room agree? Yes?
Yep.
We have a full
Yes.
consensus in the room.
Thank you.
What is the county saying?
Well, this is our problem statement and goal. So in term, yeah, well, so in terms of the next steps for this goal, we have a number of data points, right? So we've been talking about data, and before we get into our data that both IDA and MCCT has been able to provide, we wanted to talk to the county and just see if there was any update on the data from their perspective, and then also want to get more clarity about what services can even be potentially within this access to services topic. So Patty, Amanda, April. Amanda, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So we're still working with our partners in the social services department. They're getting data points from the state relating to Medi-Cal and CalFresh. I believe, unless Patty, I believe those are the two main ones. And so because they're working with the state does not have a consistent kind of touch point where like, oh, we'll get you a response in 48 hours.
Sure.
We were told that it could be like sometimes they get a response from the state within the week and sometimes it's a month or more. So what we're experiencing, I think, is that month or more period.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, withholding that piece, but we are still, making sure that we're connecting with our social services partners to check in, is there an update? And they know that we're eagerly awaiting it as well.
Okay, so hopefully by the next meeting on this topic, we'll have an update. Is that fair to say? Since it'll be about a month from now, even?
I don't know. I
Patty's
think
shaking
in
her
a
head.
perfect world, yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. If Patty's shaking her head.
Yeah, I mean, they're unable to commit on a timeline with us. I do think one of the metrics that we can get, however, is county level data. I have seen that county level data before. I forget. Oh, I think we were in the North Novato community response team. No, I'm sorry. It was San Rafael's community response team, and they were doing a presentation on behavioral health. And they had a Medi-Cal enrollee number and the number of people who were not enrolled in Medi-Cal. The problem is that it's not localized. It's localized data in the sense that it's the entire Marin County. It's not focused on San Rafael or on Marin City or Southern Marin or Novato. So we can get, my understanding is that we can get a overall number regarding Medi-Cal and CalFresh for the county of Marin. We just are not going to be able to likely get super localized data.
Okay. Is that the same for the state?
So the county feeds into the state system.
Okay.
And the state's system with Medi-Cal and CalFresh is called the Department of Social Services.
Right.
And so some of you may have been around. This was a number of years ago where we were really doing some very focused work on CalFresh enrollment. And there was a gentleman at the state level who was able to get in and tinker around in their system and pull some census data. And that guy left. We just learned this. This is what Danielle told us. That guy left. He ironically jumped over into the Department of Public Health at the state level. So their expert who was able to get in and get into the electronic system is no longer even there.
Got it.
And they don't have anybody.
Okay. So it sounds like state, county, anything that can be provided from the government level is all going to be county-wide data and not Southern Marin specific. So we'll have to rely on Ida and Ayin, who's our internal safety net services coordinator, for that data, and surveys probably in the community, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ida, can we ask if Ida has that information already?
It's right here.
Absolutely.
yeah, it's right here. So we were gonna move to that next, but I wanted to see what was available at the county first. So that's a good update to know, in that it's just gonna be countywide no matter what. So we kind of, I think, won't really rely on that too much, too heavily. And then I think before we move on to the data that's Southern Marin specific, I just really want to get clear as we're moving through in this discussion, right? What's available, as you can see. So I'm going to talk about the data, anyways. The data that Ida provided and that Ayin provided. The number one need right now is housing, and that's not on the key players list that was provided, at least from you all. So I just wanted to ask, like, I know these were like key players and strong relations, but like housing is the need right now, and so. Seems like Ida's obviously able to provide those services through her work, so wondering if that's within the realm of something that we can focus on moving forward.
Yeah, she should know, like, the data that I gave you guys, I think I started in July.
Yeah, it's like 3 months. Yeah.
I started out in the community in May.
Right.
I started capturing.
Yeah.
And then being specific, like, really.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's super helpful to have. So it's really the last 3 months of trends, and Ayin kind of, we used her data as well for over the last few months to list her top 3 services. So just because housing is the number one need that we're seeing based on our data for Southern Marin, and it wasn't on your list, I'm just wondering if we can get confirmation as to whether that's something that we can focus on in this access to services prong.
So you have the whole person care on your list right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's that's like.
A part of it, yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I'm thinking more to like actual like placement, but I'm just wondering if that can be clarified.
I mean, it's really outside of the public health domain. So I think, you know, the housing piece is just so complicated. I mean, I don't think I can answer that question, Mira, to tell you the honest truth.
Yeah.
I mean, we all want to go where the need is. And so I think we're all in support of that, you know, how to get there and how to tie that to access to services. You know, I'm not, you know, in the public health realm, I'm not quite sure. And then, you know, I mean, clearly some of the work, I think that Ida, and that soon to be built Southern Marin Hub will, you know, be focusing on is trying to pull in all the right partners to help alleviate some of that need and that stressor.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, based on Ida's data, that she is certainly focused on, so hopefully that will help. I know Pastor Floyd has a comment.
I actually said that one of the things that I think Ida has brought that's really important with housing is at least having public health services available in housing spaces and spaces that are there. And maybe that's a way to, right? I mean, it's what, like I said, one of the brilliant things that Ida has brought, which is to say the conversation needs to be around bringing services to people where they live, rather than bringing people to the services. And maybe the continuation of putting that on the public health agenda is important, right? That location, and saying, look at all your services and say, are they available for people at Adudawa? Or are they available for people at Golden Gate, right? Or do we expect for them to always have to travel for that? And what can we make available at those places? Which would broaden those conversations and including, and there would be some funding issues and some, I mean, it would then be a part of the conversation, that, you know, you can't affect housing, but you can affect where the services are, right? And maybe that's how you put housing in public health. I don't know. It's kind of like we go back to the conversation before, which is putting the testing places where people already are.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing you would do. And like I said, Ida has been really good at getting the county to see mobile sites. And then now the question is, with all those wonderful buildings that are around the Golden Gate that's not being utilized, can we put some services in there and things of that sort? And that maybe that's how you put it on the public health agenda, because housing, no, but access to services in housing, yes.
Mm-hmm. And everything is interconnected. Absolutely. Yeah. Ayin has her hand up. Go ahead, Ayin.
I wanted to go back to Jameer's comment earlier about the mobile testing unit. And I just remember growing up there, and they used to pull this small, they called it the Mini Winnie. And it was a small motor home, and there was very little apprehension about climbing aboard. I mean, it was just something that everybody did. It was familiar. You saw it all the time. You were comfortable with it. People understood what it was. And I don't recall there being any embarrassment or chatter amongst the people when it pulled in. Some people looked forward to seeing it coming. So if there is such a vehicle that is still around or that we can use, I think for it to go through the buildings and rest in the parking lots, giving maybe not the 100 lot, maybe not the 200 lot, maybe, I don't know, the church parking lot would be a good place for it.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I just remember that was always welcome.
Thank you, Ayin. Okay, so it seems like, you know, maybe we'll talk offline, Patty, of exactly what in this list is within the realm of access to services. It seems like housing is not, but hopefully everything else is, especially because I know that that's work that all these, you know, bullet points here are things that Ida has done in the community. And is BHRS, does that cover both mental health and substance use recovery services? Ida, you probably know better. Yeah, it does. Okay, cool.
Mira, can I just actually say one thing,
Yeah.
which is that, you know, I'm looking at this super important list, and I know this is cold comfort, but it's also a very reality-based statement, which is the things that are listed on here, not one of them are within public health's authority. They're all public, you know, they're, you know, from a very wide angle, they're all very public health, social determinants of health, and, you know, very, very important. But when we get down to the granular, whole person care is its own thing, Medi-Cal, CalFresh, IHSS, general assistance, those are all social services. And that's all to say that I really feel like, you know, the work that we're doing here is we're all formal dot connectors. And these are the priorities. And I think in the CRT space, it's like, how can we collectively make sure that when somebody comes to us and they're expressing this, that we are helping them connect the right dots. If that's walking them to that door and sitting in that lobby with them, then that's what, you know, that's one thing. But I think it's the job is effectively connecting the dots all the way through until that person has what they need. And what they need is self-identified. We're not, you know, again, it's like what Jameer said, you know, a number of months ago. It's they're coming in and they're identifying their needs. And so how can this collective help walk with them in the right space and really see that dot is completely connected?
So Jameer, I think
so maybe it doesn't matter if it's public health within public health authority, or it doesn't matter.
Don't offer it if you're not going to do it.
The connecting of the dots.
And I think it really depends, like for the mobile unit that's out in Southern Marin, I think it depends on the individual that's coming to the unit, right? So there's information out there on hepatitis C and, you know, whatever the case may be, but individuals may not be coming specifically for that.
Right.
Or they might come and they may take the literature. And for myself, I'm just saying a resource, right?
Right.
So there are some, and I'll email Patty so she knows that,
Right.
you know, we're kind of on the same page.
I can't
too.
hear.
There
Okay,
are
I
some
thought I
things
was
that are
muted.
public health.
Oh,
I can't either.
go ahead, Ida.
It's recorded, it's recorded.
I'm sorry.
This is why they should be in the building.
Exactly, in the building, food and.
No, Patty, I was just saying that, like, for the mobile unit, there are things that are public health related. It just depends on the individual that's coming, for the specific resource or whatever the case may be. So, and for instance, hepatitis C information is on the mobile unit, and other related public health things. With the data that I gave, Mira, and I'll send it to you as well, is related to what people in Southern Marin, let's just keep that straight, in Southern Marin, not just, we happen to be located in Marin City, but it's for Southern Marin.
So, Patty, can you give us like a couple examples of something that is a public health issue? Because it sounds like we're in the ballpark, but we're not on the field. So can you give us some examples of exactly what a public health issue is?
Well, I think we need to go back to some of the larger conversations that we had with Dr. Willis and Dr. Santora. You know, when I'm trying to anticipate what they might say, but I think when they're thinking about access to services, I mean, obviously they're thinking about access to whatever service the person needs, whether that's in the social services world or whether that's in the medical world. But in the public health space, I think access to services are more, you know, kind of in that medical space. So it's access to health care. And I know that, you know, access to health care in Southern Marin is extremely tricky, that your FQHC doesn't necessarily have embedded in it some of the things like an MCC has embedded in their world. And that's just a scale thing. MCC is very, very large. So, you know, I think, but again, I think about, you know, what is the need? And if your need that you are hearing in Southern Marin is an inability to successfully access things that are available, then that's the problem.
Can I ask
right?
a question? Because I'm just not, you know, bright enough to understand. Can you give me like 2 concrete examples of what's covered that would be what y'all do? You know, I'm having a hard time figuring that out.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I think is a distinction in the public health space versus some of the other spaces is that we don't do any most of public health doesn't do direct services. All of the work is contracted out to community-based organizations or to an FQHC. So when you were talking about the STD, you know, really customizing the STD outreach in your community, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about was the content expert, I think, in Marin County in the space is the SPAR Center. And so funding from the federal government and from the state around HIV treatment awareness, you know, things like that, you know, get funneled through the public health department and sent out into the community for the community-based organizations to do the work. So that's where important partners come into play, I think, in the public health space.
So what I understand, so let me just follow this. So the SPAR Center has absolutely no presence in like Marin City. I mean, we've talked to them, right? So if we wanted the public health to happen, we need to go to the SPAR Center and say, you have public health dollars and you need to have something in Marin City. Is that the way you want to see public health done? I'm just trying to be real practical and try to figure out.
Yeah,
how
and
you would
I write back at you. I'm really trying to be real. I mean, I think again, it depends on sort of what the stipulations of their contracts are. You know, is it written into their contract that they should really be serving all of Marin County or certain areas of Marin County, or you know, it all really kind of depends, I think, on what the contract is.
So you give money to other people to do medical stuff, and that's your function, is what I'm hearing.
I think a big part of public health is that a lot of the services are contracted out. There are some direct services that are provided within the public health space. For example, WIC, Women, Infant, and Children. That is a county-run program that is in public health. The STD, some of the contact investigation in the HIV, hepatitis C, tuberculosis is done by public health staff.
All right.
So those are some things that happen.
Well, thank you, Patty. I know we're at time. This was a great conversation. Realistically, we always have to have this major marketing campaign to get folks to come down here. And that's the difficult part, especially if they're receiving dollars to provide services all around the county. You know, and it is documented that there are, you know, some things that are directly impacting Southern Marin, but it just seems like a lot of folks can't make it past Corte Madera and come on down into Marin City where the need is. And so we really need the county's help to bring those folks to the table, because if they're getting dollars to service this community, they need to have a presence in the community.
So then my question for you, Patty, is that could that be the data that we get from you, is who are those partners that have dollars that are earmarked for Marin County that we can tap into to maybe offer more access here in Marin City of those services that they're getting money for?
Services accountable. Let's just say Southern Marin. The problem is.
So maybe that could.
I think I would want to look to Ida, you know, to help have that conversation and help, you know, think through. I feel confident that Ida has probably thought about this a lot, and has identified, you know, who's getting countywide contracts but is only serving, you know, part of the county.
Yeah, no.
So Ida, why don't we touch bases?
That works. Okay.
Yeah, and this, I think we're gonna close out before we do the conclusion. I think it's just important to raise, like, this access to services idea was brought by the county, right? And you're asking us to engage in this discussion, and we're bringing to you what access to services looks for this community. And so limiting it to public health is not where the need is what we're learning. And so just really want to lift that, like, Medi-Cal, CalFresh, mental health were listed on the things that the county provided to us. So those are like public health adjacent, I guess, but like we really need to like actually come together in this conversation and dialogue and not be met with resistance when we're having it, right? So just wanted to lift that before we end.